Hi everyone, my name is Anna and welcome to my channel. I'm a licensed attorney and CPA based in the Chicagoland area, and today I'm going to talk about how I allocated the $240,000 that I earned over the past year. But before I break down the numbers, you may be wondering why I'm sharing my income and spending with you. I think you can learn a lot about a person, but more importantly, maybe something about yourself when you see how others spend their money. A key point of reference, though, is not only how much, but also what percentage of their money goes in these areas. So I'll be sharing with you my spending both by percentage and by dollar amount. I do have other various sources of income, both passive and active. So when I do the calculations for the percentages, it'll be based on an estimate of my total compensation as an in-house tech industry attorney. I worked at a software company that prided itself in pay transparency, which provided important data points in understanding whether my compensation was not only fair within the organization, but also in the overall marketplace. As you're watching this video, you may be interested to know what attorneys generally make, and if you are an attorney, whether your compensation is market. If so, I highly recommend you check out Barker Gilmore's in-house counsel compensation report. Of all the reports I've seen, this is the most detailed and useful one I've come across. So as you can see here, this report, it really breaks down not only the compensation trends based on industry, it shows the total compensation by location type, whether it's based on title and whether the organization is a public entity or a private entity, and based on gender, and also by law school rank. What I find interesting is that during my time working as a CPA, where the school ranked was not as important as whether or not the person was licensed. One of the things that you'll learn that in the legal industry, where a person graduated from law school, what their ranking was, is still something that is a factor for many organizations when they are looking at candidates for positions. My husband is in the IT field and we do split some of our expenses, but the areas he generally covers are the housing for our family of four, related utilities, and real estate taxes. And he's also responsible for funding his own 401k and funding our children's future college education costs. And when it comes to food expenses, that's actually something that he and I split, but otherwise we are responsible for our own spending. When I was calculating the yearly amount, there are certain categories like student loan payments, medical and vision expenses, and dining out that I had gone back and calculated for like the last 6 months, and then I annualized. So there are some figures that are estimates, but they should be pretty accurate. So with that, I'll go ahead and get into how I allocate the income that I earned. So the biggest category for me is savings. As you can see here, 34% of my income is allocated towards this, which includes RSUs, ESPP account, the 401k account, and also even a repayment of 401k loan, where those funds were pulled to contribute towards the down payment of our home. The next biggest category is for taxes, which includes both federal and Illinois state income taxes at a combined total of 24%. The next category at 12% was used to pay down my student loans. One thing to know about me, I not only went to law school, I also got my LLM in taxation from Northwestern School of Law, and then I went to Hong Kong to get my MBA. Hopefully that'll be something that in the next couple of years you'll find out that those student loans have been paid off. That's ultimately the goal. Next is a trip we took over the summer where we spent 2 months in Seoul. And that's one of the things that I can talk about in one of my upcoming videos as to what we did during our time there and what we plan to do during our upcoming trip, where we go again this upcoming summer. But in any case, most of these costs relate to the cost of the flights that we took as a family to Seoul and for our hotel stays during that time. The next category is insurance for a household, which includes health insurance, life insurance, and disability insurance. This is something that had gone from my work. The next category comes from mortgage. So mortgage is something that my husband predominantly covers for our primary home. But what these payments were additional principal payments that I contribute either for our primary home that we live in or for the rental property that I have in downtown Chicago. Next is medical and vision expenses coming in at 4%, which covers the additional payments I made, including copays, deductible amounts, and other costs not covered by insurance. Food and dining, when we think about how much we actually spent, I would probably double what you see here, because that is something, like I said, that we split. Shopping and Amazon gifts is something that I generally pay for. We're not a big fan of shopping and spending a lot in clothes, so I think that this is an area that we actually are pretty good about. As I mentioned earlier, I have a rental property in addition to the additional principal payments I grouped in with the mortgage category. This, unfortunately, is a negative cash outflow that's going towards this rental property that I have in downtown. Basically, all the other categories are pretty minimal. You see here kids' activities, then gym. Health is something that I am prioritizing more now. So the biggest portion of what you see here has to do with a tennis club membership that I have. The costs here are really tied towards the activities in playing tennis. And then for transportation, this includes gasoline costs, and the biggest chunk of this comes from the cost of our children's school bus fees. Miscellaneous is a plug here, since, as I mentioned earlier, some of these costs were annualized. License and professional memberships. Like I said earlier, I am a licensed attorney and CPA, so there are certain expenses that are not covered by my employer, so these are expenses that I had to pay for out of pocket. And then there's entertainment. I am a big fan of Korean drama, so that's why you see Netflix, Viki, and of course there are certain good things to follow, so Wall Street Journal, and then the occasional trips to the movie theater that I would have with one of my closest friends. And personal care, this really is just makeup and the cost of getting haircuts. This expense is also pretty low. Just for example, I'd say probably half of our children's haircuts we do ourselves, and the other times, especially like right before picture day, we would take them to the salon, like Great Clips, just to make sure that they've got a cleaner cut for photo day. So that pretty much wraps up how I spend my money. And like I said, my husband predominantly covers the household expenses and any kind of vacation costs outside of the one that we took in Seoul. Vacation is something that we've done a bit more of. So there was a trip to Hawaii, there was a trip to Jeju-do Island, and a trip to Mexico. He's also responsible for covering car insurance for our family. We don't have any car payments. It's really just the insurance because both of our cars were paid off. For example, I'm in my 2018 Honda, which I had paid off a little over 2.5 years after I purchased the car. So that's pretty much it. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And if there's anything you'd like to learn more about, please comment in sections below. Thank you.